Now broadcasting from his hidden bunker and fully stocked bar, it is the Saturday Report with Colt Sebastian Taylor.
Thank you and welcome once again, my friends, to the Saturday Reports with me, Colt Sebastian Taylor, adventurer, entrepreneur, and amateur prime minister. And welcome to AWSM Radio, an independent digital-only radio station that plays today's best music, old school classics, along with a rotating cast of all-star DJs. AWSM Radio focuses on mainstream artists, independent artists, along with a variety of interesting talk and music shows throughout the day. All we do is entertain, inspire, and inform. Like me. And I want you to be part of the show, my friends, so follow me on the Twitter at Colt S. Taylor. I'm on Cameo at Colt S. Taylor. The podcast version of this show, in case you're too busy this weekend, you know, it happens, is available on Sundays at anchor.fm/Colt S. Taylor. And right now, there are possibly billions of people joining me from around the world on Twitch. I see 2 right now, so, you know, still a lot more to go. But you can watch me record this show and maybe even put it together on twitch.tv/Colt S. Taylor. All right, my friends, let's get started with this week's Saturday Report. First up this week, perhaps one of the biggest historical moments in the last several decades, the passing of Queen Elizabeth II of the United Kingdom. She passed away this week at the age of 96. 96-year-old. The longest reigning monarch in British history. She reigned for 70 years, 214 days. 204. That is, she just celebrated her Platinum Jubilee, the first ever Platinum Jubilee a monarch has ever had. Born in April 1926, April 21st, 1926. She was never destined to be queen. Her father was the younger brother of the current monarch, George VI. However, his older brother, Edward the Eighth, abdicated less than a year on the throne to marry a divorcee back in the 1930s. It was quite Wallace Simpson, quite the scandal at the time. So once he abdicated, his younger brother, Edward the Eighth, took over. He had 2 daughters. Elizabeth was the oldest, so she became queen. So over the last 70 years, I mean, listen, there's a lot of different opinions about Queen Elizabeth II. Some like her, some hate her. I'm not here to debate that. That's for a different one. It's for a different channel. But just giving some historical perspective and whatnot. But she reigned for 70 years. She married to a gentleman named Philip Mountbatten, who passed away last year almost at the age of 100. So they both lived a very long life. But if you're like, you know, the head of a nation, you tend to get pretty good health care. Now, Queen Elizabeth was not only the queen of the United Kingdom, but the head of many different other countries. At the time of her secession, there were a number of different countries which recognized her as their queen, and also many different colonies and protectorates as well. So just for an interesting list, currently, these are the current countries that have Queen Elizabeth as the queen of their country. Obviously, there's the United Kingdom, Canada. I'll just go in alphabetical order because that'd be easier. I'll go in order by population. That'd be interesting. So, from greatest population to the least population, the greatest being United Kingdom with over 67 million people, and I'll tell you the smallest one at the end. So, she was the Queen of the United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, Papua New Guinea, New Zealand, Jamaica, the Solomon Islands, the Bahamas, Belize, St. Lucia, Grenada, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Antigua and Barbuda, St. Kitts and Nevis, and Tuvalu, which that the smallest one only had a population of just over 11,000. Now, those are the countries where she is currently the head of state. So basically, Queen Elizabeth is the head of state, and there's a prime minister. In the United States, those two positions, the head of government, the head of state, same person. In the United Kingdom, in these countries, the head of state is the Queen, and the head of government is the prime minister. Now, over the years, there have been many other nations that have no longer wanted her as their queen, she's no longer the queen of those countries. Quite a long list. So, those countries include, and I will go in a order of dates and whatnot. The Irish Free State in Ireland, that was in 1949. India in 1950. Pakistan in 1956. Ghana in 1960. South Africa in 1961. Now known as Tanzania, but at the time it was known as, how do I say this? Tanganyika in 1962, Nigeria in 1963, Uganda also in 1963, Kenya in 1964, Malawi in 1966, Guyana in 1970, Rhodesia in 1970, now known I believe as Botswana, the Gambia in 1970, Sierra Leone in 1971, Ceylon, which is all now known as Sri Lanka, in 1972, Malta in 1974, Trinidad and Tobago in 1976, Fiji in 1987, Martinique in 1992, and just last year, Barbados in 2021. So all of those countries are now no longer recognize the Queen as the head of state. Some of these have been referendums, some of them have been new constitutions, some have been constitutional amendments, Fiji was a military coup. So all of those countries are no longer see the Queen as the head of state. However, they are also, for the most part, all part of the Commonwealth of Nations, which is a loose association of nations, all with historical ties to Great Britain. There are some exceptions. So, a lot of countries under her reign, or a lot of places, became independent nations, and that there could be some more now that she is gone, and her son, now known as King Charles III, is now king. Now, the other interesting thing about this that I find fascinating is that there was a plan for her death. They practice it 3 times a year secretly ever since the 1960s. It is known as London Bridge, the London Bridge Plan. And when she passed, the code word sent out was London Bridge is down. This is very common. When her father passed away, the code was Hyde Park, basically so that the government could make preparations and they use code words so that someone at a switchboard or a radio station wouldn't know what is going on. But everything is planned out. There are plans if she died in London, plans if she died overseas. She died in Scotland, so that part of the plan is now in effect. So basically, she will have a service in Scotland, and then at the moment, the plans are taking a train, the royal train, down through the United Kingdom to London, where there'll be more services, more ceremonies. She'll lie in state for 5 days. During this time, King Charles will go to Scotland, Northern Ireland, and Wales for separate services as well. And then there'll be a grand state funeral in about 10 days. And there'll be 10 days of mourning. And I believe they said 7 additional days after that. Many people around the world, from the Dalai Lama to Elton John, President Joe Biden, President of France, Germany, all have sent their condolences. Many heads of states will likely be in London for the funeral. No word at this hour whether that includes President Biden. Usually the vice president goes to these things, but President Biden may go to this. It'll be one of the largest funerals probably in the last several decades. When Winston Churchill passed away, that was a very big funeral in London. In fact, Winston Churchill, Queen Elizabeth's first prime minister. Yes, when she became queen, Winston Churchill was her prime minister. Just an amazing amount of time has passed. She's also probably one of the last few folks connected to World War II as well. She wasn't queen during World War II. She served in the auxiliary, but that's sort of that time and whatnot. But anyways, that'll be dominating the UK as well. Oh, another thing that this all happened on Thursday, and I've watched documentaries about this London Bridge plan over the years, and not a fun fact, but interesting fact, all public broadcasters like the BBC, Sky News, Channel 4, all the broadcasters have black clothes hanging up in their changing room in case they're going to announce the death of the Queen or a major royal family member. They change into black mourning clothes. So on Thursday, the Queen's not feeling too well. And then over the course of the next 6 hours, I noticed that people were changing into black clothing. Websites were sort of getting ready. And then when it was announced, the royal website went dark. BBC News went to black and white even on their website. They canceled all the programming for the next few days. There'll be nothing really funny on TV as the country goes into mourning. So it was interesting to see that plan things started to speed up. All the royal family was going to Scotland. People were wearing black. You knew something might be going on there. Here in the United States, flags are at half-staff until her funeral, which will be about 10 days from now. So many other countries also flying their flags at half-staff. Fun fact, the royal standard, it's a flag of the king/queen. Whenever the queen or now the king goes into a building, they raise his flag to let you know the king is here. That flag never is flown at half-staff because technically the country is never without a king. So when she passed away in Scotland, the flag stayed up there because Charles was in that building as well. If he was somewhere else, that flag would go down there, and then the flag wherever he was would go up, indicating that he is now the king. He instantly becomes king at the passing of the past monarch. There's a few formalities to go through. There's going to be a council to declare it. He'll have a coronation in 6 months, but he became the king the moment that she passed away. So, but anyways, just give you some background there. So very interesting to see this historical moment play out over TV. And this will probably be in the news for quite a while. But for the next week or two. And then there'll be a coronation in 6 months. That'll be the news as well. But anyways, Queen Elizabeth II, longest reigning monarch of the United Kingdom, has passed away at the age of 96, 70 plus years on the throne. Next up this week, also another notable passing, Bernard Shaw passed away this week. Bernard Shaw, an award-winning journalist at CNN and other channels as well, passed away this week at the age of 82. Sorry, I didn't write it down. Passed away at the age of 82. Perhaps best known for his coverage of the Persian Gulf War in 1991, where he was in a hotel with Peter Arnett, as well as John Holloman, John Holloman passed away in the mid-90s in a car accident. But he was in Baghdad on CNN, live on the air, the only channel to remain on the air during the bombing of Baghdad. A lot of people don't remember, it was only audio only. They were filming, they got the footage out a day later, but it was only audio. I remember very well, like, I was like, 5th grade, watching that on TV. It was a big deal. Big deal. It was some of the most amazing TV. Actually, if you go on YouTube, you can watch that broadcast. I mean, it's just them talking on TV and whatnot, but it's a historical broadcast, another historical broadcast, so it's definitely worth listening to, watching. Very amazing work on there. He also moderated the 1988 presidential debate between George H.W. Bush and Michael Dukakis. When he asked Michael Dukakis about the death penalty, Michael Dukakis gave a kind of a terrible answer, and kind of sank his campaign after that. So he was part of that. In 1979, while working for ABC, he was one of the... 1978, while working for ABC, he was one of the first reporters on the scene of the Jonestown Massacre with Jim Jones. Yeah, so he was there. He joined CNN when it sort of first launched, and he was on the air. It was on the air in 1981 in the newsroom during the attempted assassination of President Ronald Reagan. Again, you can go to YouTube and watch that entire broadcast. It is something else. I mean, CNN launched in 1980, and less than a year later, he was on TV covering that. He joined the company as its chief anchor. So he was there at the very, very beginning and covered that in 1981. Fun fact, CNN was just known as Cable News Network. They didn't call themselves CNN. They just kept saying Cable News Network. And so he was there. And then he retired in 2001, actually. He did. He retire in 2001. He acknowledged that being a successful journalist took a toll on his personal life. He missed a lot of things while working. And he told NPR that he didn't think it was worth it. Like, he got a lot of awards, but he thought that missing out on his family was not worth all of the news stuff that he did. So after he retired in 2001, March 2001, so he wasn't there for 9/11. He appeared in 2005, co-anchoring Judy Woodruff's last broadcast on CNN. And then his last appearance on the network was last year, actually, June 1st, during Aaron Burnett's Out Front, where they recognized the 40th anniversary of the start of CNN. He joined them to mark that occasion. He won the 1994 Walter Cronkite Award for Excellence in Journalism, as well as in 1996, the Paul White Award and the Radio Television Digital News Association. And he was inducted as a laureate at the Lincoln Academy of Illinois and awarded the Order of Lincoln, the state of Illinois' highest honor, by the governor of Illinois in 2002 in the area of communications. But anyways, he passed away this week at the age of 82 after contracting pneumonia in Washington, D.C. He is survived by his wife and 2 children. And like I said, do yourself a favor, track down CNN's Ronald Reagan assassination attempt footage, as well as the Persian Gulf War with him. An excellent broadcaster. And that's definitely some very intriguing historical footage to watch. Well, my friends, that was 2 kind of solemn news stories. So why not cheer yourself up by listening to some great music? And listen, it's the weekend, so let me tell you where to go. You listen to my friend DC. Yes, that's right. DC Live in Effect. He is our in-house DJ here, and he's got 3 shows. Friday nights. So obviously today's Saturday, so this coming Friday. Friday nights at 9 p.m. You can listen while he mixes it up on the 1s and 2s, kicking the beats from South Florida every single week. And then on Saturdays, it's DC House Party Saturdays. DC brings his freestyling DJing to the max. House Party Saturdays gives you the Miami vibe without actually having to be in humid Florida. From the top clubs to the bars, DC will bring the party to you. That's Saturdays at 10. And then on Sundays at 10, it's DC live in effect again. Look at that. That's three DC. 3 DC. You have 3 DC. DC cubed. There's 3 things to listen to from my pal DC. So that's DC live in effect, Fridays at 9. DC House Party Saturdays, Saturdays at 10. And then DC live in effect once again, Sundays at 10 p.m. Only here, my friends, on AWSM Radio. Next up, my friends, it's time for a throwback. A Kanye West presidential update. No, he's not running. I mean, he said he was running for president, but this is related to that. John Legend, handsome, horribly talented John Legend, recently gave an interview about his falling out with Kanye West. John Legend and Kanye West were good friends. But their friendship melted down over Kanye's presidential run. That's right. He made comments in the New Yorker about this. He thought that friendships should not be determined by, quote, who they voted for, but, quote, certain things you believe in are indicators of your character, and obviously that will affect your friendships. So Kanye, who is now known as Ye, okay, but we'll just call him Kanye, John Legend said, what I got described as was, we stopped being friends because he supported Trump, which was the mischaracterization of what I said. That was kind of Rupert Murdoch's version of the story. It was all over the New York Post and Fox News. That was the real impetus for us having a strain in our friendship. I don't know what will happen in the future, but he was very upset with me that I didn't support him, and I supported Joe Biden. It's up to him if he can get past that. So Kanye, who thought he was going to, win a presidential election, the Easter, it was upset with John Legend that he did not support his presidential run. He was very upset about that. And obviously John Legend wasn't very happy that, Kanye was apparently very supportive or good friends with Donald Trump. I don't quite get that. But as you may remember, my friends, Kanye, the Easter, President Ye, got 60,000 votes total. 0.5% of the vote could be better. I mean, there's people who got less votes than him, that's for sure. But, but according to John Legend, what was the most frustrating thing about that is that it was essentially a ghost operation, quote unquote, to amplify Trump's unsuccessful re-election run. So the what John Legend was upset about is that this presidential run by Kanye West, by the Easter, it was sort of funded, helped out personnel by Donald Trump to help pull votes away from Joe Biden. According to Legend, the most frustrating thing about this run for the president for me was how much it was an operation run by the Trump campaign. I don't know how aware he was of the fact that there was so much Trump personnel throughout his campaign, raising money for him, getting petitions signed for him, getting him on the ballot. I saw their work on his behalf as a clear scam and an operation to try to siphon black votes away from Biden, so there was no way I was going to support it. Kanye was upset with that, and we haven't been friends since then, really. So, I mean, I think we all know that's what happened, right? That was, I saw that, and I wasn't even, only casually paying attention. That's clearly what was going on. And apparently Kanye refuses to believe that. He believes that it was completely a legitimate thing and totally cool, and everyone was supporting him because they supported, quote unquote, him. So we'll see if the Easter goes back to back runs in 2024. I'm thinking he probably will. I mean, what has he got to lose? But I don't think John Legend will be supporting him. Next up, my friends, it's back. It's a reboot. It's coming back, my friends. That's right. Poe, Dipsy, Lala, Tinky Winky, the Teletubbies. Teletubbies are coming back to Netflix on November 14th with new narrator Titus Burgess. Titus Burgess. It's coming back, I guess. It's back. I don't know why, but it's back. That's right, the Teletubbies are coming back. First ran from 1997 to 2001 on BBC. It was a British television series. It was rebooted once before from 2015 to 2018 on Nick Jr. in the United States. And now it's coming back to Netflix. So Netflix is also developing some other children's series. Spirit Rangers, which premieres November 10th. Princess Power in 2023. And Princess Power is based on a book by Savannah Guthrie and Alison Oppenheim, based off the book The Princess Wears Pants. Spirit Rangers follow 3 siblings as they help protect the land and spirits of a national park where they live. And then finally, another new series, Waffles and Mookie's Restaurant and Gabby's Dollhouse, will premiere in the fall. So get your Netflix queue ready, because those shows are coming back, as well as a second reboot of Teletubbies. Next up, friends, we go to music to the Beatles. That's right, the Beatles. The Apple Corporation, the folks that control the Beatles music, are releasing an unheard Revolver version. It's one of their albums from the summer of 1966. And there are a lot of, it's a very experimental album, apparently. I haven't listened to it. But there's apparently a whole lot more to this album that was ever released. And an exclusive deluxe edition of this album is being released this year. The special edition of this album has 63 tracks in all, including original album stereo, mono, on Dolby Atmos, plus session outtakes on 5 CDs, 4 vinyl LPs, and a 7-inch EP of the Paperwriter Rain EP, both sides of the standalone single cut during Revolver. And there's also a 100-page hardbound book of photo essays by McCartney. All in all, not a bad album. Giles Martin and cover artist Klaus Voormann, hip-hop legend Questlove, and historian Kevin Howlett. The standard edition has the original 14-track album on CD, vinyl, and digital. So this special edition has a lot of outtakes, a lot of some different remixes of songs. Basically, some things that no one have ever heard before at all. No one has ever heard before. So if you are a super big Beatles fan, then obviously this is what you have to get, because I mean it has everything. Some things on there that that no one has heard before, apparently. The song Rain at Actual Speed, the fifth take, Yellow Submarine, when they're working the songwriting work tape, so them trying to work out the song. Eleanor Rigby, the speech before take 4. Love You Too, take 7. For No One, take 10. I Want to Tell You, take 4. Here, There, Everywhere, take 6. And Your Bird Can Sing, first version with giggling, and take 2. So all these different takes have a little bit different mixes, a little different sounds to them. Ones they can go with, but very, very interesting if you're a fan of the Beatles. So, coming out this year, soon, let's see the date. Do I have the date? Oh, October 28th. This will be available, the special edition with all of these interesting things. Probably be pretty expensive. Does it say how much? $139. The special edition, #1 bestseller currently on Amazon. I'm looking at it right now. $140 for this special edition of Revolver. Special edition, super deluxe, 5 CD box set. Will I get it? Probably not, because, well, I don't like spending that much money on music. Speaking of music, my friends, listen, if you're driving home here as fall begins to arrive in some places, still summer, but, fall's coming, you need a show to listen to while you're driving home from work, because, it's going to get darker and darker when you're driving home from work. Well, my friends, don't worry about trying to find something, because you need to listen to the Rock Sessions. It's our drive time show here on AWSM Radio. Here to make your evening commute home fun, featuring the hottest music on the charts and some other surprises in between. My friend, the lovely, beautiful Rocks will make it rock style, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, 5 days in a row. Then she takes 2 days off. Then she'll be back next week. Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. right here, my friends, on AWSM Radio. Next up, friends, we now go to Mount Rainier in Washington State. Mount Rainier is a volcano outside Seattle. Still kind of active, has not erupted in quite a while, but scientists think if it does, but it will eventually do it some other time. When it does erupt, it will cause a lot of damage in the Seattle area. A lot of glaciers up there will cause a lot of flooding. It is a big volcano, bigger than Mount St. Helen. Well, this week there was some worrying videos and Twitter photos and videos coming out of what looked like steam coming out of the top of Mount Rainier. Well, fortunately, not an eruption, not venting of steam or anything like that. Nothing like that. It was clouds. It was a lenticular cloud that, according to the National Park Service, often form when moisture is pushed up and over the mountain, forming a disc-shaped cloud. In this case, is likely related to a passing weather front. Whew! Thank goodness. Because if that thing goes off, big trouble in Washington State. So there was some minor concern, but it's not anything related to the mountain, just clouds. Mount Rainier is one of 5 active volcanoes in the state. It's being monitored by scientists, NOAA, the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network, monitor earthquakes, volcanoes in Washington, Oregon, and there's been nothing unusual there, just clouds. But it does require it to be monitored. But fortunately, nothing unusual going on there. Like I said, Mount St. Helen is a volcano they monitor, Mount Rainier, and there are 3 other ones. All watched by multiple agencies, including the Washington Emergency Management Division, which coordinates state responses, such as volcano disasters. Reminded people, because it got attention, sent out some information across its Twitter channels about what to do to prepare for volcanoes in the event of eruption. And September, would you know it, is Preparedness Month. So, no volcanoes in Washington State. Well, there are, but nothing erupting. Not yet. Just clouds. But hey, better be safe than erupted. Next up, folks, friends, are you looking for a little extra work this holiday season? Do you know how to drive a big old brown box truck? Well, UPS, the United Parcel Service, is hiring more than 100,000 extra workers to help handle the increase in packaging and packages during the holiday season. They made similar hires in 2020 and 2021. Usually there's an increase in shipping, starts in October, and then kicks into high gear November, December, and then sort of begins to come down back in at the mid to end January. Hiring plans come as online shopping has slowed after the pandemic-induced surge, but the figures are still well above pre-pandemic levels. So online shopping isn't as high as it was. It's still higher than before the pandemic. So they're looking for full-time and seasonal part-time workers, full and part-time seasonal workers as drivers, driver helpers. Those are folks that go along with them, helping deliver packages, package handlers, so at their warehouses and whatnot. And Company promotes seasonal jobs as positions that can lead to year-round employment, saying in recent years that roughly 35% of people hired for seasonal package handling later get permanent jobs. So they say the interview process is about 25 minutes for most people. They fill out an application, get a job offer, and they start their UPS career as a seasonal worker. So they can get interviewed and get a job in less than 30 minutes, if that is something you are interested in. 80% of seasonal positions do not require an interview, a personal interview. That's up from 75% a year ago. And, So UPS plans to hire more workers right now, which is interesting because there could be a union strike coming up. Negotiations between the UPS and the Teamsters are set to expire in July 2023, and labor experts are already predicting that there will be a strike. The question is, how long will it be? According to Rutgers University's labor relations professor Todd Vacone, the union's president ran and won on taking a more militant approach. Even if they are very close to a deal, the rank and file will be hungry to take on the company. If that happens, UPS strike would impact nearly every household in the country. 6% of the nation's gross domestic product is moved by UPS trucks every year. So that not only includes things being delivered to your house, but also goods to stores, factories, office supplies. There are 100,000 Teamsters that work at the UPS and package sorters out of a global workforce of 400,000 permanent employees. So more than half of the employees at UPS are Teamsters. And labor experts are saying they're probably going on strike in July. So, spring 2023, be sure you get all your packages before July, because they might get stuck. My friends, someone who never goes on strike, it's my pal, Mac Daddy, because on Wednesday nights, he is always here with To the Rack with Mac. It is your go-to spot for all things basketball. Mac Daddy, he's an NBA expert, so join him as he brings you a full hour of high-flying hoops expertise for all things NBA. Tune in to the Rack with Mac, Wednesdays at 9 p.m., and then stick around for what's going on at 10 p.m. on Wednesdays. That is our Fox affiliate show that provides listeners with over 150 combined years of sports knowledge, hosted by Nate Brown and his crew. They've been a staple of Western New York sports for the past 2 decades. Now they're national, and now they're also here on AWSM Radio. So, To the Rack with Mac, 9 p.m. What's Going On, 10 p.m. Wednesdays here on AWSM Radio. And finally this week, my friends, this Sunday marks the 21st anniversary of the 9/11 attacks in New York, Washington, D.C., and Western Pennsylvania. 21 years. There'll be likely many different tributes across the country, memorial services. Flags will be already at half-staff for the time being because of Queen Elizabeth. So, so it'll be on Sunday, very solemn day. I encourage you to, if you're too young to know what it's about, there is plenty of television broadcast footage on YouTube for you to see how that day went. It's some pretty powerful stuff. Well, my friends, that just about wraps up all the time we have here at the Saturday Report. Thank you for joining me here today. Remember, you can find me on the Twitter and on the twitch.tv at Colt S. Taylor. And don't forget to, of course, subscribe to the podcast version of the show at anchor.fm/Colt S. Taylor. Especially, if you missed a show, then you won't miss a show because you can always listen to it as a podcast. And you know what? That's fun to do too. And of course, follow me on twitch.tv/Colt S. Taylor as I record things, play some Dungeons & Dragons, and occasionally do some gaming. Well, my friends, until next time, I am, of course, your friend, Colt Sebastian Taylor, and I'll see you later.